It is no secret that Pokemon games are changing forever. Pokemon Generation 10 is kind of right around the corner. We're probably going to get the official announcement of Generation 10 for Pokemon Day 2026, which really isn't even that far away, guys. We're over halfway through this year, so, Pokemon 2026 is hopefully going to be a pretty big year. But this year, of course, we have Legends ZA, which I do believe Legends ZA is going to kind of change the course of Pokemon games forever. So over the Switch 1's lifespan, we've seen like so many different kind of Pokemon games. We kind of have seen the transition from, kind of like the regular top-down style game into that 3D open world game. Like Sword and Shield had elements of open world, but also elements of like that top-down kind of style, which I think is pretty cool. And of course we had Scarlet and Violet, which were completely open world games. Legends Arceus was the first kind of like open world Pokemon game with unlockable areas, which I really liked Legends Arceus. In my opinion, Legends Arceus is my favorite and the best Pokemon game on the Switch, so I'm hoping that Legends ZA can maybe even take over that title for me, because Legends ZA is going to be on the Switch 1 and the Switch 2, which is awesome. W Game Freak for doing that. But Generation 10 should be a pretty big game, and I've talked about this a little bit on the channel before, but Generation 10 is probably going to come out next year, 2026, which is also going to be the 30th anniversary of Pokemon, which is huge. So that's also kind of why I'm like, okay, this game has to be pretty good and pretty big, and it's most likely going to be a Switch 2 exclusive, meaning you're probably not going to be able to play Generation 10 on the Switch, mainly because, the Switch 2 is more advanced than the Switch, and they're going to just want to make Pokemon games bigger and better, because we have complained about a lot of Pokemon games recently. Like Scarlet and Violet had so many bugs, so many glitches, so many random things that were kind of just like annoying to deal with, even though the game was super fun. Like I put so many hours into Scarlet and Violet. I loved playing that game. But dude, I had so many issues with that. So if they dropped Generation 10 on the Switch 1, it probably would have the same issues with frame rate drops, different bugs and glitches and stuff here and there. But now we're seeing Legends ZA, which is going to be a fully urbanized environment. Lumio City is going to be where this game takes place specifically, which I think is actually cool. Because we're not going to have every single Pokemon game taking place in just a city. This is probably a one-time thing. Generation 10 is not going to be taking place in just a city. Generation 10 is going to be a huge, big open world game. But Legends ZA is still a mainline game, but it's taking place in a smaller kind of confined area, even though the map is still going to be pretty big. It's not going to be as big as Scarlet and Violet, though, the Paldea map. But it seems really cool. I think it's really cool that this is going to be a modern, human-driven development, kind of city, overall area. It's a bold move. Game Freak have been making some bold moves over the last couple of years. Legends Arceus was kind of the start of that, in my opinion, with that game being kind of the first open world Pokemon game being set in, the past Sinnoh region before it was even called Sinnoh, which is awesome. It was the Hisui region. We got to see Pokemon just walking around in the overworld. You could actually see if a Pokemon is shiny or not. And then, of course, Scarlet and Violet took a lot of those elements, which the graphics of Legends Arceus and Scarlet and Violet are completely different, which is so weird. I feel like the Legends Arceus art style was so awesome. It was kind of like a storybook kind of graphic style in a way. And then Scarlet and Violet were kind of more like a pastel, kind of just like watercolor vibe going on, which I think looks good, but I think Legends Arceus takes the crown on better graphics. And also, guys, I have a really big announcement to tell you guys. So I'm doing a giveaway with Nintendo, the other PokeTuber, for two $25 Nintendo eShop gift cards. So to enter to win, go to our Discord server, which is in the link down below. Subscribe to both of our channels, Nintendo and my channel, Fundora's. And then within our Discord server, there's a little chat where you can send a screenshot, of subscribing to us. That way we can enter you into the giveaway, and that we know that we have a good, easy way to contact you. Because if you're going to win, you have to have a good way for us to contact you. So that's why it's in the Discord server. The giveaway is going to end when I reach 30K and when Nintendo reaches 20K subscribers. We're also seeing a new battle system mechanic for Legends ZA. Legends Arceus did kind of have somewhat of a new battle mechanic. Scarlet and Violet kind of did as well, but it was still kind of the traditional one, turn-based. It wasn't too far off, but Legends ZA is completely different. We're like actually moving around, which is really cool. Like it's kind of like we're actually battling a Pokemon, which is so amazing. This is how it would be if we were an actual Pokemon trainer ourselves, which I really enjoy, and I cannot wait to try it out. Legends Z is coming out only in a couple of months, right? And what's interesting is this is the first mainline Pokemon game in 3 years, but it looks very similar to Scarlet and Violet. The art style and the graphics look almost identical. It's a little bit different, like very slightly, but it's like 95% identical, which I'm not entirely sure why they made that decision, because typically when we have a new Pokemon game, the art style is almost always different. You know, take a look at Sword and Shield, and then Scarlet and Violet, and then Brilliant Diamond, Shining Pearl. They're all different, which that's why I'm like, why would they make it the same? The only thing I could think of is probably just because they wanted this game to be able to play on the Switch 1 and the Switch 2. So they're like, you know what, we kind of have to make the graphics a little bit more dull compared to like what we could do. Maybe because there's a lot of stuff in the game. They didn't want the game to be too big of a file, and they just wanted it to be able to play well on a Switch without having the glitches and the bugs and the errors and everything like that. Hopefully this game doesn't perform like Scarlet and Violet on the Switch 1, because we've seen Switch 2 gameplay. The Switch 2 version of ZA is going to be running a lot smoother than the Switch 1 version, but that's the only difference. It's literally just going to be running smoother, which is cool, and I'm actually glad that they're not doing anything like exclusive for the Switch 2, so that way the people that are playing on a Switch 1 aren't missing out on anything. One thing that I hope that ZA has is like a city that feels alive. It seems like that from the trailers. Like, it seems like we have a lot of random NPCs walking around with their Pokemon as well, like following them, which I love. I love that detail. So I hope that we can bring that into other Pokemon games like Generation 10. I want the map to be pretty big. Obviously, you don't want a map that's too big, because then it's just going to be too much. There's going to be too much to do, and it's going to be a little bit overwhelming. Like, there are definitely video games that I have played that are open world, and then I get kind of like discouraged to play because the map is too big and there's too much to do and I can't make a decision and everything like that, and I don't want to miss out on anything. So I think Generation 10 is going to be a pretty big map, but I think it's going to be kind of a smaller big map, if that makes sense. So that way, you know, the map isn't overwhelmingly big. But one of my biggest issues with Scarlet and Violet is that a lot of the map feels kind of dead and barren. Like, there are so many areas where there's just kind of nothing besides wild Pokemon, which is okay, but some of the cities are just so small. Like, look at this. Like, this is crazy. I want to see a big city that like actually makes me want to walk through it, rather than just kind of like, oh, taking 2 seconds to go straight through the city. You know what I'm saying? A lot of the buildings and stuff you couldn't even go in with Scarlet and Violet, which was disappointing. I think that game just had a lot of constraints with the Switch 1 and everything like that. So I'm really hoping that Generation 10 like allows us to go into more buildings. Same with ZA. I actually really hope we get to go in a lot of buildings. I'm not expecting us to be able to go in every single building, because that would be kind of insane. The whole map is literally a city. But I really do hope we get to go like up an elevator into like a room where you can just battle a bunch of random trainers, just like the classic Pokemon games. What I think Pokemon Game Freak and Nintendo need to do for the future of Pokemon is just take bits and pieces of what worked in the past, like what worked for every single generation in the past, and just kind of either bring it back, improve on it, and then also kind of be creative with new things, because we know that Nintendo and Game Freak are pretty creative. They always have some sort of like new gimmick, some sort of new feature that's always really exciting to try out. So if they take just little things here and there and listen to the fans as well, like they need to listen to the fans with some things, but take bits and pieces of the past, listen to the fans, see what didn't work, and then try to improve it, because there are a lot of things at Scarlet and Violet that maybe didn't come out the best, but I think it was a good idea, and they could just build upon that and improve that to make it work even better with a future game, which I think would be awesome. Obviously, I think they need to improve the graphics a little bit for Generation 10. I hope Gen 10 doesn't look like Scarlet and Violet or Legend ZA. I don't hate the way Scarlet and Violet and ZA look. I just think it could look better. It's not my favorite type of art style or graphic style, whatever, but I don't hate it, and I'm still really looking forward to ZA. I'm so hyped. Like, the hype, guys, is real for ZA. And here's the good thing. I actually do think Game Freak are listening to us. I really do think that they have seen all of our complaints about Scarlet and Violet, and that's why we haven't had a Pokemon game for 3 years. Now, a couple years ago, like a year, maybe 2 years ago or so like that, they announced that they're going to try to slow down production a little bit to give us better quality games, because that was the biggest concern and complaint with people, is that we're getting too many Pokemon games. We had like 3 of them within basically a 1-year span. We had Brilliant Diamond, Shining Pearl, we had Legends Arceus, and the Scarlet and Violet. Like, that was a crazy time where we literally got those 3 games basically within a whole year of each other, which were fun games. But the thing is, we don't want them to be pushing out a Pokemon game every single year. Those games aren't going to be like fully developed and fully built to the standard we know Game Freak could reach. I know Game Freak could do so many good things with Pokemon games, and that's why I'm hyped that we haven't had a Pokemon game for 3 years. I mean, it's crazy. 3 years, guys. I cannot believe it's been 3 years. I mean, we did have that DLC to like tide us over for a little bit for Scarlet and Violet, but boy, 3 years is a crazy amount of time. Now, I don't know what they're going to do for the future of Pokemon as far as like the release schedule, because I can still see them dropping a game almost every year. Here's my theory. I think this year we have Legends ZA, next year is Generation 10, and then the next year, 2027, I think we're just going to get a Generation 10 DLC, and I think that's it. I think there's going to be no new game for 2027. They could maybe potentially skip 2028, but I actually do think Black and White remakes are going to come out 2028. But if they're not, then it's 2029 for sure. Like, it has to be. And if it's not, then I'm going to be surprised, because that's going to be wild. But if they just keep, building, improving things, listening to the community, listening to the reviews, I think we're going in a good direction. And I already do think we are going in a good direction with the future of Pokemon games. I'm extremely optimistic. I'm not going to be shy to, say my concerns sometimes, but I'm extremely optimistic that this game, Legends ZA plus Generation 10, whatever is to come with the next Pokemon games, will be good. I think the games are going in a good direction. I'm excited, especially since I think every single Pokemon game going on in the future is probably going to be a Switch 2 exclusive. I think Legends ZA could be the last Pokemon game just on the Switch, you know what I'm saying? So hopefully we go in a good direction. But thank you so much for watching this video. If I forgot to mention any cool little details or facts or just things you want to bring up about the future of Pokemon, let me know in the comments down below. And if you are real and watching this far in the video, comment down below milk. Literally just the word milk to confuse the people that aren't watching this far in the video. But hope you guys have a great day. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure to leave a like, subscribe to the channel, turn on those post notifications. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.